I'm on the drugs right now. I can use your love right now. But instead they trying to tear me down. I'm just trying to tell you.
I like all those viewpoints. Honestly, you guys are smart. Not bad.
College students, fucking college students. What's wrong with y'all?
Dude, that fucking year changed everything for me, man. You fucking dumbasses.
Is that what they teach you in college?
Next up, similar but different. So there's recently been a 700-pound bronze statue of George Floyd unveiled in New Jersey. A sculpture of George Floyd was unveiled outside of Newark, New Jersey City Hall this week. The 700-pound bronze statue will remain in the New Jersey city for at least a year to honor.
At least a year? What do they mean by that?
Yeah, I'll keep going. Then that threw me off, to be honest. To honor Floyd, who was killed by police. I've just never heard that before. At least a year, this shit'll be up. Like, what does that mean? Like, okay, whatever. To honor Floyd, who was killed by police officers in Minneapolis in 2020, at an unveiling ceremony Wednesday. Newark Mayor Ross J. Baraka said Floyd represents a lot more than himself at this juncture in history. All the activity that took place around this country because of the untimely and vicious murder of George Floyd and all the activism that sparked out of it, it's worth us pausing and paying attention to, said the mayor. Let's see. Baraka said Floyd's death has the same impact as Emmett Till's in the... Bro, see, another typo. What the fuck is wrong with this? And this is CBS News. It's not like I'm pulling up bullshit sources. So, anyway, said Floyd's death has the same impact as Emmett Till's in 1995. When the statue came to me, there was no contemplation, no trepidation. I said, why not? Let's have it here. Let's have it in Newark, he said, adding that he hopes that the statue inspires people to become active in the struggles that are happening right here in Newark and right here in New Jersey. And let's see. Baraka said the statue was a gift by artist Stanley Watts to the city. The bronze statue shows Floyd sitting on a bench. The world needs a peaceful George, Watts said. The world needed him relaxed and chilling on a bench, and that's what we produced. And we produced him larger than life because after death, George will be remembered. And that's what memorials are. It's to remember and never forget why we changed today and tomorrow for the rest of our existence on this planet.
Chilling on a bench.
It's interesting. So I'll probably pull up
that shit is a big ass statue though. Can't lie. That shit is gigantic.
Yeah, that's a very...
You could go sit like in between his legs.
I think it's very good that monuments and statues
like
are
in between. Like you can sit back. That's
it is big. I think it's good the monuments are being put up. What do y'all think?
I have mixed feelings about it. It's like one, like I love how they're not letting people just forget about this.
Mm-hmm.
But two, it's also just like one in New Jersey. Like why in New Jersey of all places?
Isn't that where?
No, he's from like Minnesota, I'm pretty sure.
But isn't that where he passed? Wasn't? Oh, it happened in
Minnesota.
I'm tripping. Minneapolis.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Every time it's gonna. I don't want to get into it, but when I see the video, the cop cars always remind me of like New York police. That's why I was thinking that.
And another thing, it's like, I don't know, like why do we have to commemorate martyrs and stuff? Like people are, oh, this person was visually attacked. Like let's commemorate that. And I understand that people remembering it, but it's like, for a lot of like black people, wouldn't it be better for us to like have statues of like figures who are like activists and stuff like that instead of like, another person we killed in this country, make up a statue? It's like, okay, but bro didn't ask to be killed, and you try to make him a martyr and stuff like that. It's just, to me, like, I understand the importance of it and the significance of it, but also at the same time, it's just like, I don't know, it leaves a weird taste in my mouth too.
I would like both.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, I think it is a powerful thing. It's even like you put up a statue of Emmett Till. It's like not letting people forget what happened. My only thing, it kind of does throw me off that, I mean, you pointed out that he's wearing a wife beater. I would have liked to see him like maybe in a suit or something. I get that was what he was wearing at the time, but why don't we? I mean, when someone's at a funeral, we see them in a suit, right? We don't see them in what they passed in.
Psychology,
so I think I would have liked to see him maybe in a suit. I mean, maybe they didn't really know, and maybe it could be that intentional, but maybe they just don't know that, like, for us black people, you probably don't want your statue in a wife beater, like, because we know, like, the wife beater is what you wear under the shirt, or like, but you know how you looking when you going out wearing a wife beater. So
well, the thing
sorry, tank top.
You could call it either one, because for us we call it a wife beater, so
which is so weird.
It's
so weird.
It is what it is. Like,
but it's just weird how it's so acceptable. You could just be in everyone. Yeah, you got a wife beater, and no one's even thinking about beating someone, like someone beating their wife.
But dude, like a wife beater, like wouldn't that be like a bat?
Oh,
No, I'm
got
just
it,
playing.
got
No,
it,
I'm
got
fucking
it.
with you. But they do say that, just want to commemorate him relaxing,
Chilling on
the
a
bench,
bench, like-
chilling on the bench. That is kind of weird. That
See, and
like put him in a Hawaiian
I didn't mean to
shirt.
laugh. The
That
bat
shit
one,
fly.
the bat kind of made me laugh.
my take, I hate it. First of all, it doesn't even look like him. If you zoom in on the picture, it's just a black dude with big lips and nose. It don't look like.
They put Jay-Z on the fucking
See, man.
statue.
Yeah,
Bro.
it just look like a regular daggler.
He
Please.
put Jay-Z on a statue.
Yeah, that don't look like George Floyd.
he could pass for Asian.
Yeah, I see.
No,
I
I'm just
see it.
playing.
Though.
I mean, from the one picture they always use, it looks like that one picture.
A lot of statues don't.
All right,
though, to
Bro,
be
at least
honest.
wear his dick
I see
print
what
or
you're
Then,
something.
then you got this motherfucker in a wife beater. Like that shit is just awful. But I was reading some YouTube comments and it was like, and see, this is the playing both sides of the story, right? It was like, shouldn't have had him with a gun and a pregnant lady, or like shouldn't have had him with, because I guess there was a story that he had put a gun to a pregnant lady or something like that.
Oh,
right?
fuck.
Yeah, and then it was, shouldn't he have a crack pipe? Shouldn't he have like a meth thing? So it's like, oh. People can make jokes on it, regardless of, it stands up as a statue and commemorate, and that's cool. But a kid 30 years from now is going to say, let's say we were having like a racist, in kids in middle school, like, my race did this, your race did that. If you look at a black kid, it's like, who do you have to live up for in America? Oh, George Floyd, like, that's your statue. Ha ha. Like, damn. Like,
I'm going to argue.
Yeah,
Anne Frank.
We're talking about George Floyd and a black kid in middle school who has his history only
Do you know
in
who
America.
Anne Frank is?
Yeah.
That's his
That's
argument towards it. Like,
It's a good
Anne Frank
comparison,
I mean, she is huge, not because of she wasn't an activist. So like, there's other figures we can definitely look to. Like Martin Luther King is a prime example. Malcolm X. We can also have people who are signify something, and either whether it was intentional or not. I mean, I think that the parallel is like Anne Frank. We all learned about Anne Frank and learned about what she did and read her things back. But
through a novel, through writing, through something that is more. I guess
you can't have it on video.
Okay,
so.
but in a higher aspect than a dude wearing a tank top who died with however much fentanyl in his system, saying I can't breathe because the cop was on it. Like, there's just too much ambiguity into the whole situation to say like this is a clear cut person that you should just say we're proud of that. Like Anne Frank it's a terrible situation, but that comes from something that's like, that person's intellectual. She was a kid in that situation writing and had died. Like, that's way different than George Floyd. Like, and his backstory versus that backstory. Two completely different backstories, two completely different scenarios in my eyes.
That's true.
Yeah.
I felt like, I remember when I read Anne Frank's like book, like you really felt everything that she said, because it's like you could just feel like the way that she was explaining everything, like also her being a kid. It's like you're all thinking about it.
But talk about George.
But I don't know, the it's just how they're presenting it, and I would like it if it was in Minneapolis, maybe next to the police, the fucking the what's it called, the police station or some shit. Like, it's just weird that they did do it in New Jersey.
Yeah, next to the police station.
That would be
I
dope.
could fuck with that.
Yeah.
Like, Minneapolis
Put his ass
police
in the
not
suit.
gonna forget about that shit. Like, you guys did that. Every time you go to work, every time you leave work, you see that big ass statue. But in New Jersey, wearing a tank top, like, whose idea was this and who approved that?
I would have liked a better just a different visual. I just don't like him sitting on a bench in a tank top is kind of weird.
Yeah.
I would have rather had maybe like standing in a suit or something would have been cool. But so yeah, even if he was standing in a suit, you wouldn't like it because of his history or
just the whole story around it in general. Like, I don't really care for George Floyd to be a statue.
Who's an activist that you would like for them to make a statue of?
There's statues
but, I mean,
of it.
they couldn't put a Malcolm X statue.
But
that would definitely get destroyed.
They couldn't. Like, there's certain statue like Ben Carson. You couldn't put, if you study like Khalid Muhammad, you couldn't put like Farrakhan. You couldn't put some other people that actually said, no, fuck the system, fuck what's going on, like fuck the white people. We are never gonna have justice, our own version of justice, living under a system that is not created from us or in our own perspective, because that's too radical. Because that we are the direct opposite of what white people are.
So,
like, completely
if I'm understanding like what you're saying, so you don't like you said the whole story around it in terms of like just how there are other factors of or are you saying because he wasn't like an activist or he wasn't pushing for stuff?
I guess like any credibility to him being martyrdom, like I don't know, and this is me because my own personal thing, right? Like, if you were to have a statue of Emmett Till, I mean, that's still and
I think there are. So there's for sure statues
right?
of.
And there's one part of me that's like, no, conscious wise, like you don't need to keep seeing that motherfucker. Like, yeah, but that's better to me than I would say, oh, is it? Damn, that's a good point. Would I care for to see? Because Emmett Till was killed in the same way, like, just I don't know.
I think
his
people
mom
need to
put
see
it out, right? Like
his mom put up the pictures. I mean, that
Yeah.
story is different, though. But even
She
then,
wanted that,
It's
yeah.
a kid who wasn't supposed to die. He's younger, no drugs in the system, no history of crime.
But
no
I
history
feel
of,
like that's the thing that doesn't like. Okay, I feel like you're talking about a character thing of like if he had drugs in the system or not. But that's the same thing that the racists are saying. Like, well, yeah, but I feel like it's totally irrelevant when you're seeing what cops are doing to him. I think the bigger thing is like, what does this symbolize? What's happening to black people in the country? How we're all fucking seeing it on camera. It's like the Rodney King shit. Like Rodney King was running from the police, but we talk about Rodney King because of am I saying that? Yeah, because we saw what happened to him. Like we saw him become a paraplegic because of what the police did, and it's like no one's saying you're a perfect person or like a martyr, but you do signify something, man. It's like when you see someone like die that way, it's like fuck, like it's sad, and it's like at least you're always going to be remembered. Even like the Breonna Taylor shit, and okay, we'll get through this, but I gotta tell y'all some shit. I want to see what y'all think about Breonna Taylor.
I just feel like, sorry.
Go ahead.
I just feel like maybe like a plaque would be better, like on like government property, but like here lies George Floyd, dude was.
But then people would say, what the fuck is a plaque gonna do?
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like a
I'll
plaque
say we can't even get a statue.
just like saying like here's George Floyd.
That's literally what everyone would say.
Yeah.
We
He
can't
was like
get-
murdered by the plaque like educates you on the situation, like has a little paragraph with truthfully telling you what happened instead of just like a statue
Maybe-
of George Floyd
well,
chilling.
Maybe a statue and a plaque. That would be hard if he was standing, because a lot of statues they have a plaque like explaining what it is.
Yeah.
Well, okay,
Okay,
to your point of like, okay, maybe they're gonna remember the kids are gonna grow up and know about like him having drugs in the system. But isn't it like people's jobs, like black voices, to not put that on his name? Like what? Like they know the story. Like isn't it their jobs to like tell the story correctly, as opposed to like, maybe some white parents or a certain group of people, they might look at it differently. They're like, he did have drugs in the system and shit like that, and they'll probably tell the story like that. But there's a lot of stories that get misconstrued, and isn't it?
I think bringing that fact in is misconstruing the story because it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like, okay, now if you're saying his behavior was erratic because of this, and then the police did that, but there's no way it doesn't end with, well, if we're telling the story truthfully, what did the coroner say? Like, it's very clear cut of what he died from.
Regardless of the point of death, it's like if you look at the story, he has a history of drugs. So it's like, a drug addict versus a doctor versus because
I think all people should be treated equally. All people should be treated equally by cops. If you do drugs, if I've stolen something, I shouldn't be killed. That's the point of this.
White
Like,
folks
it doesn't
don't
matter
believe that,
where
bro.
you come from, but that's why the only people that are pointing out shit like that are the ones who don't get racism. They're saying,
Exactly.
well, why did he run from the cop? Well, why did he do that? Well, he had fentanyl in his system. I don't do fentanyl. But it doesn't fucking matter. Like, people are not being treated equally. That's like, oh, look at that homeless guy. Well, why didn't he have his pants on? Bro, who knows? But why is he getting killed?
Like
Okay.
you're
Like,
talking
that's-
about
as
it
a-
through the comments, right? Like you're literally speaking like
I'm
what
just
you
saying
saw
this
from the
idea,
comments
this
too.
idea from,
Okay.
from a comment, right? But I can see that perspective, and it's like, damn, that's fucked up because either way, it's a joke. Like to a lot of people, this shit
People
is
are
a joke.
racist. That's the problem.
Like,
People are
but-
racist. So
but,
you're
but then it shouldn't be a joke, right? Because when you go to school and you learn about George Washington and see his statue conquering something, he's a valiant man who conquered the land and fought for our freedom. If a black person is fighting for their freedom, they're considered what? An animal, a guerrilla warfare. They're what is it? Beasts. They're monsters. Why? Because they're attacking me and what I think versus my hero fighting the British, my hero fighting whatever. They're both fighters. They're both fighting for whatever they believe in, right? But one is a hero. We're gonna We're gonna not infamous, but we're gonna immortalize you in this way, right? Show you paintings of you with your fucking knee on top of Captain Morgan style, looking up into the sky versus George Floyd. Like, I don't know. That's how I see it. At least.
I think
but
it's
a minority compared to a majority, there's not really any majority. Like, there's no white people that were like, and except for a minority like Jews or other, like, it really is only like if you talk about Native Americans, there's gonna be Native American people that pass that are figureheads, like different chiefs that pass and stuff like that. If we're talking about a minority, a majority, like the rest of the country, like, yeah, they don't really have anyone to talk about like that. Like, oh, this white was treated so badly. Like, yeah, but I feel like from having Emmett Tills, from having George Floyd, from having Breonna Taylor, there's things that people just can't ignore anymore because it's like there's too many different things.
Your statue is not quote unquote good. My statue is good.
So there shouldn't be a statue because I'm not seeing the point.
I
what is
like
point
the
in that?
move towards the statue. I like these things. Like I know it seems like pander and everything. It could be it could be not. We don't know. But like I think it's progressive steps. I think if this doesn't happen, like other things won't happen as well. And that's one I could like me seeing it from this perspective. And it's also like us even talking about
15%
him being
black.
on drugs and shit. 15%. But like us
Been
even
around
talking
us
about
long
it, like
enough.
we should uphold the story of him, like what actually happened, as opposed to like the other factors in the stories. But I don't know, man. That shit. I see your perspective. I see the side where you're coming from, but I think this is a solid move. It's not the best, but I think it's moving us towards a certain type of direction that we kind of need. We could do more. Definitely more could be done, but
Yeah, I agree with you. It's better than nothing, I think.
that now sounds really bad, you know?
Like
Better-
it's
it's
better than
something.
nothing, but I feel like if they would just told me that they'll put like the teachings of like George Floyd, not the teaching, but like teach about Emmett Till and George Floyd in like school curriculum, I feel like I could fuck with that better, you know? Because like instead of just having like a statue that the average American 30 years ago look at like what the hell is that? Like people will actually know what the hell that is. Like we know, like Tori was talking about, we learned about George Washington and all like his all the great things he did. We learned about Christopher Columbus and all the great things he did. But like
that's facts.
so like if you teach us about these things, let us know that what happened to these people, what was happening in 2020. Like, oh, you think slavery was so long ago? No, in 2020 they were killing this dude for no reason. Like, I want y'all to know that in the schools in 20 years
No,
from now.
give us a black grade.
Yeah,
That was talking black shit.
we on our way. We on our way, big dog. All right, why don't we take a little break and then we'll come back. We'll come back like exactly that.
That's what it happens, huh?
Yeah.
That's what y'all be doing here.
Yeah.
We got more space. Yeah. You in the way.
Dang, it's nice, bro.
Bro, we be fist bumping every 5 minutes.
Girl, I'm off the drugs right now. I could use your love right now, but they steady trying to tear me down. I just wanna tell you now,